Bienvenidos to Oye Dímelo Cinema Club. I'll be your host tonight. I'm Don Dino. Next to me is Jason Eccles. And then on the other side, we got Steve Dez. For today's review, I picked the movie Cronos, which was Guillermo del Toro's first feature-length film, and it came out in 1993. Reason for me picking this movie is since it's October and we're doing kind of spooky films, I was wanting to do something Spanish that kind of fell into that category. And just from searching online for like scary Spanish movies or asking my different either Spaniard friends or Mexican or Latinos, usually Cronos, this movie was in like the top five of the different lists that I would find online or just recommendations from friends that watch Spanish cinema and stuff like that. So yeah, so I didn't really know anything of it going into it, and that's why I picked it. And I guess I'll start with my first impression. I enjoyed it. Um, I think it was very interesting. It was a new take that I hadn't seen on vampires, I guess, or just like the creation aspect of a vampire. And I really enjoyed exploring different, backstories to vampires. We kind of talked about this in the last review we had done of just like taking a genre, taking vampires, and kind of revisiting the different rules, if you will, or backstories, and what do you keep and what do you invent for your own storytelling. So I enjoyed it. I was looking forward to once I found Ron Perlman was in it because it's the first time they worked together, and seeing is it going to be in English, is it going to be in Spanish. So I also really enjoyed how it was bilingual. It was Spanish English, and even one character speaking in English and the Spanish person pretty much understanding them and vice versa. So it was a very fun way of watching a movie with Argentinian actors in it, American actors, Mexican actors, and how, they played with the language. So yeah, that's my first impression on the film. And I'll go with Steve Dez first. What was your first impression?
Hey. So my first impression uh, was that I got a little lost in the beginning of the movie. I guess because I was like, okay, this movie is like 90 minutes, so I'm gonna get all nice and high and watch this movie. And at the beginning, they throw very crucial information of
Yeah,
the film, and that literally went from one ear to another because that's when I was like setting in the movie. So the entire time I was just like, what's the thing, what's the power that the thing has? What, like, I was like confused, and but the good thing about the movie is like even through the confusion, if you just watch the movie, you understand what's going on and you catch up, even though I didn't go back. Now, as I watched the whole movie, I kind of want to go back and kind of examine that first scene, just because they're giving a lot of backstory to all that. So, first impression, I was just like, man, this old guy has like a pretty dull and boring life, and now I'm like, oh, he's bringing all this stuff upon himself. Like I had like so many different thoughts about the movie, but it's a movie that, at least for me, because I didn't know, and I didn't watch a trailer, nothing. I just watched the movie cold turkey. Uh, it's a movie that gets progressively good. Like for me, when it was starting, I was kind of like a little bit detached from the movie. But once you start getting to know the relationships of the characters and you get like really deep into that particular world, it didn't even make me feel like that movie was dated. Like it felt like that movie is a 1990 something film, early 90s,
93. 93.
93. And it felt like maybe early 2000s, like this could have been made like when they were making The Mummy as well. That's what
Yeah,
it felt to me. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
nice. Jason?
I think to Steve's last point, that's a really good point. Like when I was watching the movie, I did feel like uh, it could have easily been made in like 2001 or two or three, maybe. Like, but definitely early 2000s for sure. It totally had that vibe. If I didn't know any better. But the fact that it was made in '93 is quite an accomplishment. Like that movie was made when Jurassic Park was made. And my first impression of the film, I had never seen it before. Um, I had never, I don't know if I've heard of it. I might have heard of it, like maybe just listening to like Guillermo del Toro's like catalog, like maybe I just heard it. But I never thought I would watch it, so I'm glad it was that recommended. I probably would have never discovered this film. Really cool though, man. Like this almost because it's a grandpa and a kid in the movie, it makes the movie like immediately kid friendly, but it is pretty grim. You know what I mean? But I almost feel like I could have watched it as a kid as well. You know what I mean? Like maybe I don't know what the rating on it was, but I think I probably would have enjoyed this movie quite a bit as a kid. A kid and a grandpa, like that's the cast. So I really enjoyed it. Like I know what Steve was talking about with the relationships too. Like the movie gets going at first, and you're kind of like, well, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, how much magic are we talking here? Like, I don't. But the relationships are so strong. And even the main guy who's turning into the vampire, even his relationship to himself, that transformation was like, this is really good acting, really good storytelling, really good directing. I mean, it's no wonder that Gil Tormo went on to do what he's doing now. You know, to think that that's the guy who directed Lady in the Water. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Like this dude's come a long way, but he's always been pretty stellar.
There's definitely of him. You watching this movie, then you can see a little bit of this sprinkled in his other movies, right? Mm-hmm. Like watches or clocks, yep, or mechanism are very big in all his movies. You were talking about it feeling like it could be in the early 2000s. If you think about when we reviewed Pan's Labyrinth, we were saying that it still looked good, right? And it wasn't dated. And that's because he's very much a practical guy, right? Practical special effects. And even I would like to know how he did the little mechanism, right? I think that's the only time maybe that they might have used a little. No, I think this was all practical. Even the inside shot of the mechanism with the little squid thingy or whatever was all just some kind of puppetry. But yeah, it doesn't feel dated. One thing I noticed that I like is how his casting choices in all his movies, like it's never just, for the most part, just like let's get this super. It's not your Hollywood movies where I'm gonna get the prettiest people, like 90% of the time. He's like, I'm gonna get people that look like people, right? And he uses that as part of like the full canvas of his movie, not just like good storytelling and like set pieces or cinematography. It's like the characters themselves have to be able to fit in. Yeah, a little backstory, like this being his first film, didn't have that much money, ran out of money, had to like mortgage a bunch of stuff, and to the point where I guess they weren't even paying Ron Perlman on time, or like he had to be paid way later in it. And so I like the story of how like that started down there, and there was such a big respect after that movie that they followed each other on, and Ron Perlman is very thankful of him because he got him in all these different movies, and then even Hellboy, to the point where once they decided to not use Guillermo for Hellboy 3, Ron Perlman, or the last Hellboy, Ron Perlman decided not to do it. So there's like a lot of trust between those two.
I can feel like there's a lot of trust between them just by watching him perform.
Yeah.
He performs better for Gil Tormo than he does anybody else.
Just Del Toro or Guillermo?
Guillermo.
Gil Toro?
Did I say Gil Toro?
Yeah.
Guillermo. He performs better for Guillermo del Toro than I can't think of like that's the best work Ron Perlman has ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and Ron Perlman's good, but that's the best every time it's with that dude. So their relationship, their shorthand must be incredible. And you know, I can see that if they've known each other that long, and he did him a solid by the money's being messed up, and he's still performing. Like he obviously respected the talent and the craft of this guy. You know, yeah. So they're great together. They should do more movies together. He should be in all his movies.
Probably, yeah. All right. Well, is there just jump right into it? Is there a specific scene or character that you like the most, or like maybe funniest, and then like non-expecting, right? Because there's also a kid, so you don't expect that there is either going to be gore or you know what I mean. At the beginning of the movie, this can go many different ways, right? As you guys have also even pointed out. So you have a favorite character.
Before we get to the favorites, let me tell you what I didn't like about the movie.
Oh, well, in the favorite and dislike, you can, go for it.
I did not like all the cringy moments this movie had, because there were so many moments I literally had to look away because I was just like, oh my God, oh Jesus Christ, what is this? Because I
one of the cringy moments, can I see if we had the same cringy? Was one of them when the guy licked the bathroom floor?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just like, oh God.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, come on now.
He did it in such a creepy fashion. So fucking creepy.
It was like his first kiss.
Oh my God.
His first taste.
But
also,
it's such a great build-up, because first it was by the sink, and so he was about to like go at it, and then he gets interrupted by the guy in the stall who's like, like people, and like kind of washes it away, and he's like, what just happened? And it's gone, and then he goes for the floor. Like the build-up to it, I thought was great. Anyway, so you don't like
that whole scene weirded me out, because that dude, there was blood all over the sink, and some dude just came and washed it away with his hands. Like, oh, there's blood everywhere. And I'm like, no!
Yeah. And like,
who does that?
Then didn't even like finish washing his hands with soap or anything.
Just like rinse this blood off. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a choice of like, hey, we have very little film left, so you come in.
It was like really comedic and deliberate and weird. Like no one, I mean, maybe somebody will wash their hands like that, but maybe it's just to show this guy being tortured about it.
All right. So you dislike that. What else?
I definitely disliked the scene that he's taking off his like the sewing. Yeah, the sewing thing, like way after in the movie. That's another scene that I was like, oh my God, oh.
Yeah, that was a little creepy too.
There was definitely another one. I just can't remember.
Why was he knocked out for so long, though?
What do you mean?
Like when he was in the coffin?
Oh.
Like, why was he asleep for so long?
Well, it took Jesus 100 days before he got out.
He's literally the weakest vampire that ever existed.
I mean, he took what, one lick? I don't know. It takes a while. We never find out all the mechanics, right, of how the little machine works alongside with him. To me, that was my favorite character. The guy that was part of in the mortuary. Like I thought that was such a rich character. Like for me, like if I were to like, oh, I want to play, like that's probably the role that I would have the most fun with. I mean, he had so many like knickknacks, and like that was his jam. There's a gas leak. Let me just tie this piece of cloth over it. Like I thought that was definitely my favorite character. But one of my moments, something so small as Ron Perlman's infatuation with everybody wanted something, right? Everybody wanted to change something at times, something that they didn't control. And for Ron Perlman, I guess it was the plastic surgery, And like the stuff of like him asking what nose do you prefer to like basically strangers, and then like the audio, getting to know, plastic surgery on audio tapes, like all that to me just
All that makes me seem like it's for kids a little bit. Like those seem like jokes for kids.
I just love that. Like,
I mean, they're great, but
yeah,
it just seems like that's why kids could watch this movie. It seems like kids will understand like that terrible. Like this dude is
right.
so vain about his nose, he wants to change his nose, and then his nose keeps getting progressively worse throughout the movie. And to the point where it's been broken 2 or 3 times. Like that's like a parable within itself.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, like his overall in his movies, his characters always have something that they can't control,
Mm.
that they would, like to be able to change or want to get control.
I would have to look into that.
Even like, in and like they in uh what was the last one? The
Late shake water.
yeah, it was Shape of Water, right? And that doesn't fit in, right? You have the girl that's deaf, you have the gay neighbor, like all these people want to somehow be able to control or change something.
So you're saying there's a thread that his characters a lot of times need some type of control or something.
Yeah.
To
And Pan's
me,
Labyrinth. Anyway, I cut you off. What were you saying,
no,
Steve?
I was gonna say to me, my favorite characters, and this is mainly me thinking about the story itself. Uh, to me, is the orphan girl and the woman, the lady that was in love with the. So the little girl, I think her name is Aurora,
Yeah.
and I forgot the name of the lady.
Mercedes, the wife of the old
Yeah,
dude?
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think how she gets introduced, she's like giving some tango class.
Yeah.
And the moment she came on screen, I was like, I love it. This is the character I will be, whatever, just because of her flow. But what I liked about those particular two characters, I feel like, I mean, not gonna lie, the old guy did his thing. He fucking acted his ass off. But what grounded that character were those two characters. Was that orphan girl and that lady, because it gave all the human touch and connection that character needed for his arc of going from a dude to a vampire guy. And because if they didn't have those elements, then what was it all for?
Right.
And in a way, you know, even I mean, he stumbled upon it by accident, but at the same time, you think about it, and he's in a way continuing to keep the transformation going for them, like to be more time with the woman he loves and to be more time with Aurora.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, right? That when he's dying or whatever, it's, I think, a narration, but it's like not wanting to die because of his family, basically. You know, wanting to make sure that he can take care of his wife or of the granddaughter. So it definitely gives more depth to the character instead of it just being like, can you hear the helicopter?
No.
No, you don't hear the helicopter?
Now I heard like almost like a
Uh,
car passing by or something.
yeah. So I think that gives a lot of depth to a vampire, right? A lot of times their only story is who they were and all that. But for him, the only thing that matters is his wife and his granddaughter. So I thought that was, very cool how, it kept him grounded even as a living dead person. He was grounded.
I could see this movie even working in the 80s. Like, it's just like a really fine-tuned movie from a director we had never heard of at that point.
And practical. The only thing that you could maybe say was a little dated is the makeup, right? The prosthetics and all that. I mean, yeah, again, Shape of Water, right? You can see what his budget and prosthetics and makeup.
But even that wasn't bad for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was its own thing, its own aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like very purposeful.
Oh, Steve, you were talking about Mercedes. We watched it together, and to Jason, I was just like, oh my God, she looks like all my aunts in Paraguay. Like she just had that like flow and glow, like dancing, and had the perm, you know, kind of done hair and all that. And I was like, yep, that's my godmother in the late '80s, early '90s for sure.
Real godmother vibes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Did you have any you said cringy moments, but not parts that you're like this could get cut, right? Other than just like ew.
No, I think honestly, I think the movie was well paced. Like, I don't think there was like something unnecessary that they threw there. Like, everything kept the story kind of moving forward, and it had a reason. So I didn't feel, I thought it was perfect length. I mean, already like just looking at the time, okay, I'm gonna spend 90 minutes watching this. Like, I was like, that's perfect. Like, I don't mind spending that much in a movie. If a movie's gonna be 2 hours or more, or 145 and more, it better be freaking good, you know? But this, I think it was like really good, at least in my point of view.
Yeah, I thought so too. I'm glad it was time well invested watching this movie. I'm really glad it was recommended. I think the character, if I had to pick a character that I most identified with or liked the most, I'd have to say I really enjoyed. I don't know. I'm making it up as I go. I'm like cycling through all the characters right now. I mean, I really identified with like the grandpa in his old age. It's like there's a little bit of vanity to him as well. But he's older, he starts to get younger. He's, oh wow, you back to be younger again. You know, it even made his wife.
If I can just shave my mustache.
Yeah, he shaved his mustache. Like, you look younger. And he goes, yeah, I feel younger. And it's like, that's just a really cool way to sort of tell a vampire story too. Like, he's gonna be his youngest version of his current self. You know, vitality forever.
Also, made me think of that. Usually, it's always, or lately, it's all tweens and teens who are vampires, right? So it was interesting seeing this guy that's, I don't know, in his 60s become a vampire. You know, like, you don't
to become a vampire in your 60s.
Yeah, like you don't hear that often, right? Like, it is like, oh yeah, the vampire is like 100, 200 years old, but stuck in like a teenage body, right? So it was interesting seeing, you know, especially before he understood what was the transformation that was happening or whatever. It was, very cool seeing like, oh, he's just glad he has a little more pep in his step, right? He seems happy. Like, it was an interesting thing of not just like, I want all the power, or, you know, I want to be immortal, which is usually a lot of times the case.
Yeah, typically. It was nice, and it feels refreshing, but then you have to remind yourself it was made in '93. So this is the older concept. We've had movies that I thought were very interesting with vampires, where there's like little kid vampires or a little girl vampire, like the right one in, and you're like, oh, that's different. But like, I don't know any of them where the old man becomes the vampire at an old age, because we watch it happen. It's just a cool vampire perspective. It's nice to see his thought process and what he wanted to explore, like in the vampire universe. Being a vampire movie lover myself. Yeah,
well, think about it. Right now, we can't even relate being that age. But imagine like if your granddad was a vampire, like at his like age, like, you know, like my granddad, right? Like a farmer, all that. Like, what is he? Half his day has to be outside in the day of what he loved to do, right? Now he's got to be stuck. He can't go outside in the day. What's he going to do as a farmer?
Exactly, you know? Yeah. What would be the perfect age to be a vampire? Like, what age?
The age? I would say your 30s.
Just anywhere in your 30s?
anywhere in your 30s because you got a little bit of experience in life, you know, and you're still young enough to at least fight back and not get your ass kicked like this grandpa did.
Yeah. So was that what it was, or is that just again? It's not that like there are vampire stories where vampires have like super strength, or you know, is it just like this? Literally, the mechanism, whatever, it just made you live forever. But it's not that you were stronger or anything. So maybe, and maybe, yeah, that's why you're right. He didn't have a lot of strength. Can we talk
Maybe
about the little girl? Talk about creepiness? Sorry, unless I just thinking of strength made me think of the little girl because she got in the action as well, which was very surprising.
She didn't speak the whole movie, right?
At the very, only that she said,
abuelo, abuelo.
that was it, right there at the end.
What did she? What does a abuelo mean?
Granddad.
Granddad.
Yeah.
Right at the very end when they're fighting with that guy or whatever, she calls out, and that was the only time that she spoke.
I seriously thought after that, after she said that, he was gonna grab her and like bite her.
No, I was like, it's not that I didn't think of that. I was just like,
never considered that.
I was just like, please don't do it, please. And I think that's where the humanity was, right? Like maybe that's where the vampire was able to keep his humanity and be like, oh yeah, this is for my wife and my daughter, and not my daughter, my granddaughter. So, creepy kid. How do we feel about the kid and that kid growing up? Like, it's a weird thing. Because then I have a final question. Well tied in, because I asked him when the movie happened. Does he die at the end? Does he let the light in and die? Because he even said all he wanted to do was just go back to his wife to tell her like he loved her, you know, or he, you know, blah 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 one more time.
Well,
And
according to the thing, was that whenever he destroyed the thing, he can basically go back, right? That's what
Yeah,
the
right. That is correct.
okay.
I go under the movie idea that if we didn't see it, it didn't happen. Director only shows you what they want you to see. So I have to assume that he didn't
what?
kill himself.
I thought that he was only like really living because of
No, he's
once it
living,
was going, and then once you break that, it's like, yeah, you're gonna die again.
but they show with his family at the end. So
Yeah,
like,
but he was like
decided to stay with his family.
letting his hand go. I don't know. He was in bed there looking at him. It looks like he's about to die.
They would have showed it.
He
That's what I
breathed.
believe.
Anyway, so that's what. Watch the movie. Watch to the end, even though it's a little spoiled now, but it's still a great movie. And
It's
let
not
us know.
spoiled.
Let us
Because you enjoy your own movie.
let us know if you think he lives through at the end or if he dies at the end.
Pretty clear that he lives because we didn't see him die.
He destroys the mechanism.
He destroyed the mechanism so that like it would end with him. But that doesn't make him die, does it?
I thought that little bug in there or whatever that was is what kept him alive.
But now he just had to die regular. He can't like stay young. It wasn't keeping him alive. It was making him
So
young,
now he's
right?
just a zombie, right? He's no longer a vampire.
Basically.
Now he's just a zombie.
Yeah, kind of. Well, he's a human again. Just in bad shape.
I mean, he was fully white. There he looked exactly like the opening scene where that original OG vampire got stabbed through the heart.
It was a weird convention, wasn't it? Because to be a vampire in this world, you had to suck blood and use that thing. Or did that thing just turn you into a vampire one time and that was it?
Well, he kept
sticking himself
yeah.
with it. But for what?
I thought that's what re-energized.
That's what I thought too, but then what's the blood for? It's like you need both to be a vampire, right? It's not every other vampire movie, you just drink the blood and that's what rejuvenates you or whatever. But
I think
Yeah, but I think in this movie, I think it was like your shot of heroin, you know, like you need it.
It's like a crack pipe, right? You just once you take a hit, you gotta go back to it.
it's super strength,
Yeah.
vitality.
Yeah, because
It's
he was
also
trying.
interesting in
He
vampire
was also
movies.
trying it. He was trying it everywhere in his body. He put in his heart, in his
Yeah.
blood, everywhere.
He was experimenting. He was seeing like, where is this the most effective?
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
why not? He's like going through my arm every day. It's hurting. It's like heroin.
Because Ron Perlman's uncle even was like, you gotta feed it blood, basically. It's like, so he had to eat blood to then feed that little thing that would then recirculate somehow, give him the power. But all right, so clearly we have a little, or clearly Dino's the only one that saw the ending differently, because you guys seem to agree on how it
And he was healing quick, right?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like he was healing faster.
well. So yeah, I differ in what I think happened at the end. Any final thoughts from the film?
My final thought is, again, glad this movie was recommended. I could definitely recommend this. It's a spooky, half Espanol film. It's good for kids, I feel like, unless, I mean, maybe a more mature kid who can like handle like a little bit of blood. I liked it a lot. I can see myself maybe revisiting it one day, perhaps. You know, if I was a kid, I would have loved it, I think, no matter how gory it truly was. It just felt like that. Like, you know, it had that sort of, you know, it was very whimsical. That's the movie. It was dark, whimsical. He took a vampire movie and made it dark, whimsical. He could actually make a better vampire movie than that today. He could make this script better today, I think, with who he is now. But for what he had at the time when he was making it, it's brilliant. Brilliant, 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 brilliant film.
Yeah, for your first feature.
Oh, is that his first feature?
Yeah, his first feature.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible work. Absolutely.
Homer on the first hit, basically.
I think so.
Steve, your final thoughts?
Alrighty, my final thought. I do agree with Jason. It's like dark, whimsical. Like the very beginning, I would say the first 35 minutes or so. It felt very R.L. Stein, Goosebumps. You know, like it was like a series of stuff is happening because crazy grandpa keeps messing around with things that he doesn't supposed to be doing. Like, oh my God, I remember the scene. How can I forget? The other scene that made me cringe hardcore was in the early beginning where all those roaches came out.
Oh yeah.
Because I legit had to fight with a roach last night. And then I see all these gangs of roaches just literally come out of this thing.
You're like, oh, you son of a bitch.
From the little statue.
And the girl is just stomping on them, and he goes like, "No lo altere," you know, like.
If you are aggressive, what is it? Something like if you bother them, they'll just get worse or something like that. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like, don't antagonize them or something. Is that what he says?
It was something. Don't.
I think he said don't antagonize them. Like you don't want to get one of these cockroaches mad at you.
Yeah.
And funny enough, like most people do, they say certain things to other people, but they don't do as they say because he antagonized those guys to pursue the heck out of him throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
So that's a life lesson right there. There's a lot of little life lessons in this movie.
And then I was like, man, he real naive. He like showed up with the thing, like, and then because we just see the shoebox. It's just great filmmaking, right? Because you're just like, oh man, the grandpa really doesn't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. But then he did. It was a lock. He did the good old switcheroo.
And he also was a hero, if you think about it. It's my final thought. He's also a hero, the grandpa, because if he didn't get that vampire, mechanism, it would have gone to the really bad guy.
Yeah.
And he was rich, and he just would have ended up being your classic Count Dracula, this rich dude who's conniving, and he's going to do whatever he's got to do to get what he wants, and he's on his deathbed, and the world is probably better off with a guy like that. He hires a nephew who eventually just would have been his Igor, his right-hand man, right? That was his Igor. He was all set up to be Dracula, as it would be. And they all got intercepted from him. Like, you'll never be Dracula, because I'm an old shopkeeper. It's almost like a Disney movie. It's a fairy tale.
Didn't
I like
didn't that big dude look like Will Ferrell's doppelganger? Ganger?
His hair, yeah, Ron Perlman, young Ron Perlman.
Wait, he looked like whose?
Will
Doppelganger?
Fer Will Ferrell's
Will Ferrell?
doppelganger.
That would be like the '90s stunt guy, where they just get someone that vaguely looks like them. But the way they shoot the action scenes, you're like, oh, that's completely different guy.
Ron Perlman has such a good look, man.
Yeah.
He really does.
No, again, I really like the movie. It's definitely interesting. '93, you know. If you like Guillermo del Toro, you have to watch it. Just like so much of what you see there, you see him exploring in depth in other movies. So if you like vampires, watch it.
And if you don't, just watch Hellboy again.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Basically,
Hellboy.
minus Hell and the boys, because there's a girl and they're vampires.
Yep. If you
This
want to see
movie's
how the
ama-
guy who directed Hellboy, where he started from, watch this. You'll like it.
This movie's amazing, and you can't even believe this was made in '93.
Yeah. All right, so Steve, I'll throw it back to you. What
are you watching next week, Steve?
Yeah.
So I guess it's my turn again, and since we're
And none of us are gonna watch it. None of us are gonna watch it.
Nobody. We're gonna let you review it all by yourself next week. It is
If
be all of us watching you.
if you don't watch it, it will be your loss, sir.
Okay, all right.
But basically, the next film that we're gonna watch, since we're done with the spookiness, is going to
Oh, is this
be
the last week of spookiness next week?
no. It was this. This is the last week.
Well, next week is still,
It's still October.
He just doesn't want to do a spooky one.
No, but it airs. This one airs. You know how it airs? It airs the week after.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the concept of time since the pandemic started.
By the way, people watching right now, I know there's one episode missing. My computer busted, but that one's coming.
I don't
But
think you notice there's an episode missing.
hey, I like to say it, you know. For the
Comment
future.
below if you've noticed there is an episode.
I didn't notice there was an episode missing.
I think the one.
The one from last week.
What episode is missing?
The one
Last
we did
week.
last week. He said it's stuck in my computer.
Oh
That's
yeah, I
the
did
part.
notice a new one didn't go up. I did notice.
Yeah.
That. Or at least I didn't
Then-
catch it.
There you go. There you go. Anywho, the next film that we're going to watch.
But I think should technically be a Halloween movie, but okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys can do that in your choices, but I don't want to, so.
All right.
Just say that you don't want to be part of the team and you're
You
going
didn't-
off by yourself.
You didn't
Listen, the person that stipulated this spooky season didn't even show up to a single one.
All right. So spooky no more.
She's definitely watching. So
Comment
yeah.
down below if you know who you are. Call yourself out, because we ain't gonna call you out. All right.
Anywho, the movie that we're gonna watch next week is called Guava Island.
What? Guagua?
Guava.
Oh, the Childish Gambino thing.
Yes, Guava
Okay.
Island is the next movie. It's very short. It's sweet. But I'm on an island, so I want you guys to transport yourself to an island.
Read like guava.
You're taking us out of Halloween onto an island in November. Cool.
You know it. You know
we
it.
need it.
That's great, Steve. You know, we've all moved around a lot during this pandemic. You know, you were in LA, and then you're in Puerto Rico now, and I was in Detroit, and then I'm now back in LA.
I was down in Ramona.
Dina was in Ramona, and now he's back in LA. And we've all just like kind of kept this thing going, you know, throughout. I think me and you are the only two people who haven't missed a week of Cinema Club, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
Since it
true.
started, I don't think I've missed one.
Steve definitely hasn't missed one. He's set up all of them. And
No,
Dino hasn't missed one since he started.
Dino,
Yeah.
Dino, since he started, yeah, he's been consistent too. JP was the other MVP, but
He was the other, but
he,
he missed out this week on the MVP.
he just he started
Must have gotten into drugs or something.
he started a new job. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah, well, when he comes back, somebody saves MVP award for him because, you know,
They'll have new equipment. You know, they'll have lasers and cats fighting in the background.
And Naomi's working too, huh?
Yeah, she's.
So we're just a bunch. We're the bums.
We're just everybody like we got jobs. We can't be on this thing with you guys anymore. We're like, oh man, come on, get back on here.
Literally, that's been the excuse of everybody. It's like, yo, I just got a job, man.
Well, you know what? I always try to make time.
Hey,
We make time for the things that are important to us.
It's gone from just like, oh, it's great. I can just use the pandemic as an excuse.
Yeah, I quit my job for this.
Right. And then now it's people not wanting to be a part of anything anymore. And they're like, oh, I got a job. Yeah, I'm not.
I can't do pandemic stuff with you.
Yeah, I can't get on Zoom anymore because I'm out of the house actually now.
Things are opening, guys. Things are opening. We can't be doing this.
I got stuff to do. I'm sorry. We are part of the new internet community.
Yeah.
That's it. We review movies. That's what we do on the internet. That's our thing. You can watch if you want. Yeah. If not, you don't have to. We're going to be here reviewing movies.
Comment below. Do people actually get jobs, or are they just using that as a new excuse to not do online hangouts?
Hey, someday we're going to get paid of all this hard work, you know? Let's keep reviewing movies till 2050. And let's make it happen.
The big bucks start rolling in.
I'll take payment in guavas right now.
In guavas? I'll take it in coconuts.
I do it even harder.
I'll do it for a few coconuts, not Thai though.
Oh, I would do it for
man. There's some guayaba trees around here in LA, and they've been blooming.
I got a papaya tree.
That smell triggers my sensory just memories from Paraguay, like no other.
Well, you're really going to be into it when you watch Baba Island this week.
I will.
We will see you like you're going to be in for even coconut.
Oh, this is still recording, by the way. I thought maybe this was.
So thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for joining and ganging up with us, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you. Click for more videos. Hello there, I am Steve Des from Oye Demo Network. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget, you can literally click there or click there, and you watch more videos. Isn't that great?